And still, we don't know why. There have been plenty of theories. They were astronomers, engineers, priests. They built an observatory, a temple, even an alien landing strip. But now there's another idea, a theory that seeks to reveal which powerful desires drove Stone Age Britons to their greatest achievement. It's a story which stretches across continents and millennia. A story of life, death, and fertility. Dawn at Stonehenge. It's midsummer, when the days are at their longest, when the dawn will cast its rays into the heart of the stone circle. At this time of year, the sun rises directly behind the famous heel stone standing outside the circle. But today, an artificial sun shines down. A scientific experiment using a massive 18-kilowatt spotlight to illuminate a controversial theory. Dr. Terence Meaden is a physicist. He thinks he can demonstrate why Stonehenge was built. Dr. Meaden's theory is that this was the site of a symbolic sexual act. Two ancient deities, a marriage of the gods.
The marriage of the gods is a cosmic consummation between two fertility deities, seen here as the sun god and the earth goddess. What we're seeing at Stonehenge is the sun shining past the heelstone straight into the womb of Stonehenge. Then the sun moves to a position where it is concealed behind the heelstone. We then have the phenomenon happening. The shadow of the heelstone penetrates the monument and gives a consummation effect. A fertility ceremony happening in front of the spectators who would have been watching all this. This experiment's gone so well, we're delighted. All the calculations have worked out beautifully. We spent some time in advance working out just where the artificial sun should be placed. Everything has come out exactly as expected.
Britain was a warmer and sunnier place in Stone Age times. People who gathered here around the time of the summer solstice had a good chance of seeing a clear sunrise. Dr. Meaden's personal theory is that the stones were positioned to ensure that a phallic shadow would penetrate the inner sanctum of Stonehenge. The tip of the shadow fell across the monument's most sacred stone, the one he calls the Goddess Stone. This female figure, seated on her throne of leopards, was already 4,000 years old when Stonehenge was built. She was made in Turkey, which was once the cradle of Western civilization. Did the Stonehenge builders dedicate their work to someone like her, a goddess of motherhood, of fertility, of the earth? The search for hard evidence of goddess worship in Britain has become Terence Meaden's lifelong obsession. But it's a highly controversial idea, which leaves most archaeologists sceptical.
I don't think there's any evidence for the cult of the goddess in Britain, which doesn't mean there couldn't have been something of this sort, but if so, there are no images of her which we can accept as authentic. That's the big problem.
The Neolithic, or New Stone Age, began in Britain around 6,000 years ago. Neolithic people were the first monumental builders, beginning with huge communal tombs for their dead, like the West Kennet Long Barrow, 20 miles from Stonehenge. The New Stone Age people were the first in Britain for whom the fertility and cultivation of the earth became a matter of life and death.
Neolithic people were the first farmers in Britain, and they were obsessed with the fertility of the land and with reproduction. And it's in this period that the idea of Mother Earth, I think, first comes to the fore. I think in the Neolithic period the Earth was increasingly being seen as female, but that was because it was being seen increasingly as something that would produce, that would yield, that you could drive a plough into.
As farmers, the Neolithic people were developing a new concern with the seasons of life: sowing, harvesting, storing. The long barrows they built to house their dead tell the same cyclical story, a growing preoccupation with death and rebirth. For Terence Meaden, the link to the earth goddess is clear. Here, at the chambered tomb of Hetty Pegler's Tump, northwest of Stonehenge, he thinks our ancestors saw the body of the Earth Mother, burying their dead in a tomb which was also a womb.
What do you think about the meaning of the word tump?
Well, I guess people in the 17th century saw it as a great big pregnant belly in the landscape.
Archaeologist Tim Taylor disagrees with Dr. Meaden on many details, but he does support the idea that these tombs were built to resemble wombs.
All over Britain, mounds just like this one are constructed, and they're very womb-like. They have a passage that's like a vagina, and they have lobes into which the dead are put, and they are humped up in the landscape. 3 of the 5 chambers are still open.
The most important cell must be the one in which I'm sitting right here, because this is the end cell of the gallery. Looking ahead, we have the vulva entrance, the vagina gallery, and the cell straight at the end, this vast one here, is the womb cell, into which I would guess the most recently dead body would have been placed.
This was a family burial plot. Deep inside the chambers, many of the skeletons were incomplete, for the living used the bones of the dead in rituals, bringing them in and out of the tomb at times of ceremonial importance. For Tim Taylor, they're enacting a symbolic rebirth from the tomb and the womb.
I think that symbolism of a womb and a vagina is broadly inescapable, but there's an architectural tradition here as well. They're putting them up over several hundred years with these side chambers. When the dead are brought in here and then moved around, they are being put into Mother Earth, if you like, and that idea is emerging in the Neolithic period. Whether it's related to some grand mother goddess, though, I have my doubts.
Oh, that's quite another matter. The Earth Mother, though, was something which seemed to be quasi-universal throughout the entire Neolithic world.
This type of monument ties in perfectly with a belief system that women were just there for reproduction. It's showing a womb-shaped monument in the earth, can receive dead bodies and will hold the ancestors within the earth from which they can be reborn. And it's rather like scattering seed onto a harrowed field which will produce crops in the new year. They're scattering bones into this vulva here in order to reproduce the ancestors.